Welcome back to Prof E Plays. This is Prof E, and in this video we're going to do something a little bit different. Uh, we're not going to do an actual play, and we're not going to do solo. Instead, we are going to do some planning for a one-shot for my cousin and her man are coming to visit, and they play Dungeons and Dragons, and they know that we also do RPGs, so they said, "Oh, I think it would be kind of fun for us to get together, do a one-shot sometime we're visiting." And I said, "Oh yeah, that sounds great." Right, so I'll go ahead and I'll be the GM for Shadowdark because that is something that I do quote unquote regularly. Ideally once a month, but it doesn't always happen. Let's just say I think my Shadowdark group got together like 6 times, maybe less than that. It might only have been 4 or 5 times last year. But in any case, right, Shadowdark is something that I'm comfortable running. It's fairly easy to pick up if you play D&D, and also then if say my wife my dad, who are in my regular group, if they want to play with us, they have characters already. If my uncle, my aunt, my mom, who also live in the area, if they want to join us, they can do so. Right, so um, I don't think they will want to join us, but if they do, right, it's fairly easy to pick up Shadowdark. It's seriously just roll this weird die and add one of these 6 numbers. I'll tell you which one. If it's more than 12, you win, right? That's if you really want to streamline it way down, right, that's it. So I was thinking about the process, and I thought this would be a good video to make. Um, and then I was thinking, well, how do I want to approach this? Because I want to do it somewhat systematically if I'm actually going to record the process. And then I realized that like, as I was thinking about what steps I want to go through, I realized that in my mind, I was thinking about the 8 steps that Sly Flourish, Mike Shea, talks about in his Lazy Dungeon Master, right, materials. Right? So, first, very quickly, what those 8 steps are. So, he says, first, review the characters, that is the PCs, create a strong start because you, as the DM, control what the beginning of the session looks like. From there, who knows what the characters are going to do. Outline potential scenes, right, not getting too married to any one of them. Define secrets and clues, develop fantastic locations, outline important NPCs, choose relevant monsters, select treasure and magic item rewards, right? So those are the 8 steps that all go together. It gives you the elements you need, right? Your player characters, it gives you what you need for in terms of a story, a setting, the other characters as well, right? The kind of antagonists and supporting characters, and also kind of what's the goal at the end in terms of uh, getting some kind of magic item potentially. So the thing about this, and I will link down below if I don't comment, remind me. Uh, uh, in the blog where Sly Flourish talks about this, and then he also develops this in books and the like. He's very clear. This is a modular system, so you can take the pieces and use what is useful to you, and not use what is not useful, or rearrange, I do it, remix, and so on. So what I did, I decided I was going to take this, I'm going to reorder it, trim, specify for our purposes, right? So here's my plan. So first, I want to outline important NPCs. Specifically, I want a villain. And to get the villain, I'm going to roll an adventure concept from the Shadowdark book on page 122, and then I'll also roll a site name from the Solo Dark list. Okay. Then I will develop fantastic locations, so flesh out that dungeon, right? So this is going to use the Shadowdark Dungeon Generator, as well as this other thing, which I found out from, I think it's Gentle DM, I think, yeah, made a dungeon generation guide that you can get on um, Drive Through RPG, but the Gentle refers to this cyclic dungeon generation, which I had never heard of before. So when I looked it up, and I really like this, right? So I I'm going to use that. All right, so that's also, so I'm going to use the combination of the Shadowdark Dungeon Generator and the Cyclic Dungeon Generation process. How exactly I balance this out, we'll see, because I don't actually know off the top of my head right now. Then outlining potential scenes here. I'm not really big on outlining scenes myself. I find it doesn't fit my style very well. But I do want to have a list of encounters, either planned or random encounters, both in the dungeon and also in the wilderness. Then I want to choose relevant monsters. For this, I'm going to use Shadowdark tools. Just to show you this site real quick. Okay. Yep, there it is. Let it reorient. Right, so if you have never used this site before and you like Shadowdark, improve your ability to Google. It was a fantastic site. And the thing that it does for me that I really like is that it provides an easy way to filter monsters, right? So I love the Shadowdark book. One thing that it's missing is a good index, actually, a couple good indexes that I would like to see for monsters, and that is sorting the monsters by level and terrain. That's not something you get in the Shadowdark core book. I'm not going to blame Kelsey for that. After all, it is already 325 pages, right? What amounts to just a couple lists, not really necessary, right? But it's nice to see those lists when you do see them, right? So what the Shadowdark Tools has done is it actually provides you with filters for this. I believe that's under reference. So if I follow through, yes, right here. Right, so there's their monster filter, right? So I can actually specify, am I just leaving the core rules? Do I also want to include some of the curse scroll publications? What kind of monster level do I want? Minimum, maximum? If there's any specific keywords or environment that I want, it's fantastic. And then I can even get more detailed. Like, so for example, say that I want to make sure that it's something that I don't know, is a pack hunter or something like that. I can actually filter for that as well. Or something like I want to make sure that it's undead, right? So right there's an undead filter. And then it just will list out the monsters and give the basic stat block. If you want the details of the attacks and all that, that is what the core book is for. Okay, so really, really nice tool, and we will be using that when we get to that part. And then finally, selecting treasure magic item rewards. This one I'm going to do something Bob Worldbuilder suggested in a recent video. That is to develop a scroll and describe it with 3 sentences involving at least 2 sentences. Now, what Bob Worldbuilder was suggesting was ways that you can take Dungeon Crawl Classics and stick it into other games, and I think that is exactly what I'm going to do with this. Is that I'm going to use one of the DCC versions of a spell, right, and then provide a scroll for that, but the scroll needs to be somewhat unique physically. So that's why you're describing it with 3 sentences involving at least 2 senses, right? So that way it's a little bit more unique than just, oh, you found a scroll that lets you heal wounds or whatever, right? So we're going to go through this process. Now, I had made a previous attempt to record, but I think that okay, this is weird to say, I had my mouse in my pocket, like right here, my computer mouse. I had that sitting in my pocket. And I think that I accidentally clicked the stop recording button. I guess it's just shifting my leg or something. Right, so I've already done rolling for that first step. I've not fully developed it yet, so we'll still see some of the creative process. And all really you missed was me rolling on this table. I don't even show the table because I only like to show you things that you don't necessarily have to pay for. All right, so yeah, otherwise I don't want to prevent people from actually buying the book, right? So when I rolled first, I wanted an adventure concept. And the way the adventure concept table works in Shadowdark is that it's um, three columns. The first of which gives you a verb, the second one gives you the object, and the third one gives you what is generally an environment or something like that, right? Or at least some additional color, right? So what I got here is that I need to bypass the demon in the catacombs. That is the adventure. Now, uh, then I wanted to roll a dungeon. I did that using the Solo Dark supplement. Solo Dark, I don't mind showing this one because you can get this for free online. Right, this is this dungeon names table. So I rolled on that. This is much more extensive than the adventure site table you get in the main book. Right, so really nice tool here. I rolled on that and I got the phrase Pits of the Righteous Sorcerer. So what I want to do now is come up with a name, right, for the Righteous Sorcerer. Because what I'm imagining here is that okay, so it's the catacombs. Right? So pits of the righteous sorcerer. So this would actually be his tomb. Right? The righteous sorcerer. So he is probably historically would have been lawful. Right? Now, because of the world in which I'm going to operate, I'm going to use the world for my normal Shadowdark group, and that's something where I'm doing very much a Western Reaches style campaign, uh, where you're kind of pulling from the Forgotten Lands concept. We had a wall that was built 1,000 years ago. Nobody was allowed to go through this wall until recently. There was kind of a change in the rulership of the kingdom, and the new ruler has declared that they are going to open the gates and let people go out and explore right? The northern reaches of Radoslav. By the way, I used reaches before Western reaches was presented by Kelsey Dion. So, uh, so I didn't steal that from her at the very least. Everything else, well, I paid for this. I didn't steal it. Okay. All right. So what I'm imagining here, right, is that the righteous sorcerer died over 1,000 years ago. Right? So we were aware of who this person was. I needed a name for them, right? So I went ahead and I rolled syllables here. These are the syllables that I have: den, hos, hill, and int. I mean, it sounds like something you'd make a commercial for, right? Dentos, but I'm going to go with Dentos. Right, so Dentos is the righteous sorcerer. So I think that the righteous sorcerer Dentos has actually, I think I'm going to skip a little bit, some treasure here, right, that is meaningful, right? So what I think I'm going to do is this scroll, right, is going to be, um, I mean, it would be too easy to make it just like a cure wounds or something like that. Actually, I need to pull up what the DCC spell list is. Um, okay, there. Sorcerer Grimoires, DCC spellbook utility. That's great. There we go. So let's see what the spells are. Okay, there we go. Oh, there are a bunch. So animal summoning, cantrip, charm person, chill touch, choking cloud, color spray, comprehend languages, detect magic, Ecom's mystical mask, enlarge, featherfall, find familiar, flaming hands, force manipulation, invoke patron, magic missile, magic shield, mending, patron bond, read, magic rope work, runic alphabet, mortal. Okay, sleep, spider climb, ventriloquism, and ward portal. So those would be the level 1 wizard spells. Oh, no, level 2. Okay, well, what if I go ahead and... I'm just going to say level 10. Oh, no, those are all the level 1 spells. Level 1 through 3, are there any other spells here? Okay, no, it looks like it's mostly the same. Although mending... Okay, I want to see what mending does. That might be something that I want to look at. So you can repair damaged objects. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, that's not bad. I'm also thinking about whether I want to actually have this be like a healing spell or something like that. Da, da, da. Or paralysis. That might be kind of fun. Let me check paralysis. Okay, so this is paralysis. Okay. What does it do? It does things like the wizard's hands and melee weapons are charged with the energy of paralysis. The wizard must make a normal attack on his next round. If it succeeds, it causes normal damage. His enemy must make a will save or be paralyzed. Okay, the paralyzed creature is unable to move or take any physical action for 1d6 plus caster level rounds. Okay, so then I would just want to clarify caster level was the caster level for Dentos when he made the spell scroll. Um, yeah, that, and there are other possible effects as well. So you can pick. Okay, yeah, like paralysis might be a reasonable one to do because that's more of a defensive spell, is what I'm thinking. right? So, because I'm thinking about, okay, a righteous sorcerer, what would they do? Right, again, and I don't want to just give an attack spell because this is something you can only use once, right? So I think it makes sense to me to do something that might be a little bit more significant. Um, and I don't want to do something like demon summoning or whatever. Breathe life. Oh, that could be interesting. Okay, breathe life. It does things like caster breathes life into one small object. It must weigh 10 pounds or less. You know. Okay. Yeah, no, that's kind of silly. Which I love silly stuff. Don't get me wrong. And I think that oh, mirror image. What is that? See, I don't know the DCC spells like at all. It creates an illusory double of the caster, which mimics his actions exactly. If you're in the space directly around him and distract opponents who tend to strike the mirror images instead of the caster. Oh, I like that. Okay, maybe that's what I'll do. Mirror image, because that's definitely like a defensive spell. Right, so okay, so when talk about magic items, we'll get to the details of it, but I want the magic item to be the mirror image using the DCC rules. Okay. All right, yeah, yeah. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, cool. All right, so I have a plan then for that. So here's what has happened then. Right, so this is the grave of Dentos. Right, and we're being sent right to get right this scroll right of the mirror image, which is a really unusual spell. There's nothing even similar to that, I don't think. In I mean, oh no, here it is. There's nothing at all like that except for the spell literally called Mirror Image. Uh, it's a tier 2 spell for wizards, which that wouldn't become available till what? Till level 3. You might possibly get that then. But anyway, having the DCC version of it, I think is kind of fun, right? And also, I'm going to like turn up the I'm going to turn up the like the power level of it. So anything that's caster level, I'm going to make it Dentos's caster level, which is probably I'm going to make it like a 9 or a 10, something like that. Or actually, this term sorcerer I think has a meaning, doesn't it? Let me double check the titles here just to make sure. Just make sure. Okay, wizard titles, sorcerer. A sorcerer would be a chaotic. So you're a righteous sorcerer. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But whatever. Right. So a lot of things are not necessarily going to make sense, right? So we need to bypass the demon in the catacombs. So bypass the demon in the catacombs. So we know what our villain is. Our villain is this demon, right? So I want to get a little bit more detail about this demon, right? So the demon, it's going to have to be something relatively low level because we are going to have probably 4 characters of levels 1 or 2, which means add them up. Facing like a level 4 character might be okay, but I'm not going to have them face. Okay, so I'm looking at the demon list. So there are a couple types of demons that might be all right. So one would be of rock. It's wagon-sized, filthy vultures with 4 limbs, midnight blue skin, and a rash of mangy feathers. It's level 5 creature, 24 hit points. This is something that could, for level 1 or 2 characters, take it out. Possibly working together if they work reasonably well. That makes sense. Um, Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. All right, so this demon is a Vrock. Bypass the demon, Vrock. I'm just gonna make a note of that. It's on page 205 of the core Shadowdark book. Yeah, I think that that would be a reasonable like boss monster for us to have. Okay, so that is the plan. Right, so I now have my villain. My villain, it's not necessarily an intelligent creature. So this being was just a demon. It's chaos incarnate, right? So it's really just trying to destroy things. So I think it's here just like corrupting the catacombs of the righteous sorcerer. So that's really the purpose here. So what we have in mind here, right? So just so I'm getting this all in my brain, is that the pits of the righteous sorcerer were originally the burial place of Dentos, right, the righteous sorcerer. But I think this probably happened after the wall was built. It was a wall built 1,000 years ago, and the sorcerer had died. His tomb was on the north side of the wall, right? And he was buried with some of his treasures. So there might be more than just this one really special magic item, but this one in particular is what somebody really wants. I think it might be, yes, I'm going to say this one that is demanded by, or is requested by, desired by the College of the Mages here in the city. They would like to have it returned, and they're going to be willing to pay, right, some amount of money for this. So I'm wondering, like, what is the value attached to a fairly high level scroll? I'm just looking here really quick. Um, a fifth tier spell scroll, so that'd be the highest level in Shadowdark. It would be 360 gold. So they'd be willing to pay probably 360 gold for that. Desired by the College of Mages and Brana, they'd pay 360 gold for its return or its acquisition, which is 360 is a pretty good amount of gold. Divide that between the four players. That's a lot of money. Okay, all right, but they have to survive. But that's always the trick. All right, so we have our adventure concept. We have the demon that we're going to use, which it turns out that was actually a type of monster. It's effectively our boss monster. Okay. All right. So that is going to be that. Next thing I'm going to do is develop a fantastic location. So what I have here, oh good, the lines do actually show up okay. This is my um, graph paper. Now I have this graph paper very specifically because you often will see me play on my battle board. The battle board has a very specific dimension to it. And I went to a website and I printed out on from that website. This is a 1/4 inch squares graph paper of the dimensions that match that particular battle. Right. So that means then if I can limit my dungeon to this space, then I'll be able to just draw it on my battle board without having to worry about like constructing a bunch of dungeon tiles or something like that. I don't mind constructing dungeon tiles, but I want to keep my life as simple as I can right now. All right, so that's what we're going to do. So now, in order to figure out what this dungeon looks like, I'm going to start with dungeon generation here. Oh, it's 130. I already wrote that down, Professor. All right, 130. Awesome. So this is, I'll make it better this way. The pit of the righteous sorcerer. All right, so on this paper, what I need to do, first thing I need to do is determine how big the site is. 6, so it's a large site, which means there will be 12 rooms in it. So we're going to pull out a fistful of D10s. Try to get the ones that are relatively high contrast. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and it's 12. Yeah, those are all reasonably high contrast. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just roll these. All right. And then we're going to place these around. Okay. So, and then I'm just going to start drawing boxes around things. So right here, that's one space. And mark a little 2 there. Here's another space. That at a 10. Here's another space. 6. It's another space. 10. There's another space. It's a 10. 6. 1. And actually, I might be modifying these as we go. Okay. So, draw an outline around the dice to form the site's shape, separating the rooms with walls and passages that match the dungeon's type. So this is actually a tomb. But boy, there's a lot of spaces in it, aren't there? All right. So one thing we want to figure out, I need to pull out my notebook paper. So a few things it says. So first we've got the site size. We know the type that it is. We have our basic map here, which we're going to be filling in some details about that later. So note the number of each die. We did that. Roll the corresponding table for the room's contents. I'm not going to do that just yet because I want to use a little bit of the cyclic dungeon generator as well. The site's objective or boss room is located in the room with the highest room type roll, which means our objective then is going to be in one of these rooms. So it's either here, here, or here, right? So one of these is going to be the final tomb that is going to have, I think, the treasure in it is the goal. Okay. And then it's going to be guarded by, we have to somehow bypass, right, the demon. Okay. So, yeah, 10 is, it's a boss monster type room, apparently. All right. Now I want to roll the overall danger level. That would give us a sense of how often we're going to run into random encounters. I apparently already put away my six-sided die. Don't know to put dice away. All right, 5. 5 indicates this is a risky. So that means we have random encounters every 2 turns. All right, cool. Now, the next thing I want to do is pull out my cyclic dungeon design. Okay. I really like this concept because it takes the dungeon and turns it into more of a puzzle. That's what I like. As opposed to this, I could just kind of draw a bunch of things in there, and then you're kind of like trying to work your way to say this room or something like that. Yeah, you're working your way there. You're kind of going through a bunch of random stuff to get there. But what the cyclic dungeon generation does, right, it provides with a bunch of different types of cycles that you may have to run through, right? So the way this works, right, okay. So a cycle, it says, a roughly circular loop of linked dungeon chambers designed to create a certain gameplay flow, such as lock and key, hidden shortcut, these types of things. All right. So dungeon method overview. So what we're going to do is first generate the overall cycle. We're just going to keep doing this until we have a total of 12 rooms because that's what we have here. Right? And then we're going to figure out how the rooms map onto this overall cycle. And so first thing, I roll a d12. Oh, the d12 deserves more use. Um, it gets good use in the Dominion rules. If you want more about that, watch Trevor Duvall. Everybody knows Trevor. It's Me, Myself, and Die season 3. He used the Dominion system. Okay, so first thing I want to do. So this is going to be the cycle type. So type 8. 8 is a monster patrol, right? So what a monster patrol is, so let me give you some kind of logic behind this. So a very powerful monster patrols a short circular path between the start and the goal. Monsters moving through the start, goal, or any chambers in between must be careful to avoid the monster. There is likely something valuable in a chamber patrolled by the monster that the Dungeoneers must retrieve or manipulate. Oh, this is awesome. This is perfect. Right, so we're going to do then is we have the outer cycle. So there's the start, and here's our end goal. So the outer loop is a monster patrol. So we have one room, two rooms, and then we're going to have the monster is going to be going in a circle, right, passing through these different parts of the cycle. So you have two rooms. So one would be the starting room, which our monster will occasionally patrol into, and then we have the treasure room, which is where the treasure would be. So the idea that we have to bypass the demon in the catacombs, this is awesome because the monster, like the demon, is actually like following a circuit around. It might be possible, right? As long as you're moving at the right speed, right, to stay ahead of the monster and avoid them. Or you might even be able to like go off into side passages or something like that, which I think that would be pretty cool. All right, so that's one. Now, here and here we have space for an additional cycle, right? So I'm going to add an additional cycle to each of these. So the top cycle is going to be 11. It's a simple lock and key. So what this is set up, so this is going to be, I guess this is be the B cycle. So I'm going to say the outer loop, Monster Patrol, and then the B is lock and key. This is a simple lock and key. You have a short path to the goal. However, the gold chamber contains a lock. Right, so you have here, this would be B start. Right, then you'd have another room here, and here's the B goal. And then here would be where the key is. So we'd have another, I'm just going to put diamonds in here for now. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rooms so far. And then we need to put another loop down here as well. I'm connecting these things for now, but then I'm probably going to fill in some more stuff. So what's happening down here? Roll that. 3. 3, the type here. This is a hidden shortcut. Oh, I like that too. Right, so this would be our C. Right, so we have some kind of start here. Right, then here's our goal. And there is some secret passage that will connect the two. Right, or you can go the long path. Right, which is going to involve 2 diamonds here. I can really do this if I try. Um, should get you to the goal. Now the secret path is going to be short and safe, where this one is long and dangerous. The problem is that this one is hidden, right? So total, what do we have now? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, awesome. Okay, so this is really easy. What I can do now is I can just kind of throw in an extra room somewhere, and it's not really that big of a deal. Or I could just delete one of the rooms for that matter. Um, Okay. So, my goal room, okay, do I just want to delete one of the rooms? That would be very possible. I'm debating what I want to do with this. And I might change the sizes of the rooms as well. But as a rough draft, I think what I want to do, I'm going to have this be our goal, right? So this is going to be, I guess, room number 12. We'll just call it that. And then I want to flip this over here. So you have 12 rooms. Room 12, this is the goal. This is the scroll here. Okay, cool. I don't know why I flipped that over, but then what I want to do now, remember getting into here, we need to have two ways in. Um, I'm just going to kind of draw, you know, rough ideas here, right? So if we enter here, okay, then we can go, there's one, two, three, four, and this down to here. That would work. And then coming in the other way, go here, short path. Wait a minute. Okay. And the short path could be something like this. For the long path, oh wait, no. Oh, the short path would need to include one more here. Let's say here to here, where the long path would go here to here to here, and then this goes to here. So this would be something that could work, potentially. And that would end up cutting out, right, this big room, right, which then means I could expand some of the other rooms or something like that. Right, so this is what I'm thinking about in terms of flow. Right, so just to give you a sense of kind of what's happening here. So on the largest scale, what we have here is this is where we're going to enter, right? This is our treasure room where we want to get to. Okay, there's more than one way for you to get here, and you can see that you can either go in this way, and there's one, two, three, four. You can do it that way. It's fairly short. You can do this way, but like this passage is a secret, so you wouldn't necessarily find it, right? Or you can go up this way, and you go one, two, three, but then you find out, oh no, you have to go over into this room to get a key to unlock something, so you can get to this room. So this goes one, two, three. So this looks like that's actually probably the shortest way compared to this way, which you know is possible. Uh, yeah, yeah. So I like that, and then we can just get rid of this room here. Right. So I think that that's a reasonable idea. I'm going to make this a rough draft because often what I will do is I will draw this out and then I'll photocopy it. This is just a rough draft here. So I think that I'm just going to put my notes directly on this then. So over here's our entrance. All right. So for the entrance, now, okay, just so you know, going through the cyclic method, right? So the first thing we did, we generated the overall cycle, we generated the subcycles. Now we want to draw the dungeon map, which we've already done. Then populate the dungeon, add embellishments to the dungeon would be the last step. So this is where I'm going to get back into the Shadowdark stuff. Okay, right. So in our entrance, it's a type 8 room. Type 8 suggests it's a major hazard. So what might the major hazard be? Well, let's go ahead and roll on this. 6, suggesting there's a drowning hazard. Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So 8, I'm just going to mark here drowning hazard. All right, cool. Um, wait, I didn't actually number the room. It's room number one. Okay, let's number the rooms now. All right, so here's number one. This is number 12, or I guess 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, that's it. So room number 11 is the goal. Scroll is there. All right, so room number one, it's a drowning hazard. I like that. Room number two, this was a 6 when I rolled it. 6 suggests this is an NPC. Well, what kind of NPC is it? 3 suggests it's a captive. So let's work out some of the details about that captive. All right, so I'm going to look up, where's our NPC creator? I know it's in here somewhere. Yeah, there we are. What do we know about this NPC? It's not a rival crawler. All right, so let's go ahead and roll some dice. All right, so this is a dwarf. Alignment, lawful. Age. I think I'm going to have this dwarf also only speak dwarfish, just because that's great. And I don't know. Do I have? I don't know that I actually have anybody that speaks dwarfish in my group. So, uh, middle-aged, wealth. Well, extravagant wealth. So, appearance. 12. Cleft chin. Uh, in terms of actions, rare accent. Oh, okay. And that makes sense. Only speaks Dwarvish. And also secret. 5 is a half demon. Well, that could be an interesting thing. Okay. There's some kind of captive here. All right. Room number 3 down here. So this is going down this path where there's the long road and the short road. 3 here. And I remember we want 5 and 6. We want these two to be dangerous, or this one is relatively safe. So, and there has to be a secret passage going out this way. All right, so let's go ahead here. This is, again, it's a 6, indicating another NPC. Right, so what type of NPC do we have in room number 3? 6 rival crawlers. Okay, room number 3 is rival crawlers. I know exactly what I'm going to do there. I have a couple of, yeah, my group that normally meets, they've actually met uh, a couple of my solo characters before, so I think I'm going to have them be them. So these are my solo characters. All right. Then room number 4. So going up this way. All right, that's number 1. That's 1. So that's an empty room. All right. Room number 5 down here. That's a type 6. So it's another NPC. There's lots of NPCs in this place. A wounded NPC. All right, so let's go ahead and develop this NPC as well. All right, ancestry. And it's a halfling. Age, and I'll give them names and that kind of stuff. And come up with. And the big thing is coming up with reasons that they're there. I could probably do that right now. 2 for age, so it's adolescent. So it's an adolescent halfling. Wealth, standard. So I'm not even going to bother writing it. Appearance, 7, muscular. I mean, muscular for a halfling. Does speaks quietly, and that makes sense. It's injured. Secret. 16, in love with a bartender. That's probably not going to end up being relevant, although we'll see. There might be other sixes in here. Maybe the bartender's in here somewhere. Um, all right. Room number 6 is this one. So that's the room that you have a secret passage to get to. It actually has an NPC in it as well. It's going to be a very talky dungeon. All right. Four. What is four? Four indicates another wounded one. Okay. Well, maybe that is the bartender. All right. So tell me about this particular NPC. D12. Two. It's this one's human. Age. Oh wait, it's on the wrong. Oh, I forgot to roll alignment on the previous. Well, alignment probably doesn't matter that much. Well, actually, it might. It might. Right. So let's go ahead and make this lawful. How the halfling? The halfling is also lawful. Okay. That can give us some idea of why they're in the dungeon. So, like, are they there to like worship and serve the demon, and they, I don't know, got in its way or something? That's possible, but not so much if they're lawful. Okay, so five. Oh, this one's middle aged. Okay, seven. Also muscular. All right, 15. Also speaks quietly. Okay, so maybe it's a family trait. Because so what I'm thinking here is that no, but human and halfling, no, they're probably not. At first, I thought like maybe like I forgot that my second NPC was human for a second, so I thought maybe like this is the person's father came in because we have an adolescent there and a middle aged one there, and it's possible that like the father went looking for the son and walked right past him. Okay, no, that would. Oh wait, no. Okay, he's here. Okay, right. So it's possible he may have like gone down the wrong passage, right? Went through down the secret passage instead. By accident sounds strange, right? But possible. All right, so I think that that's what we're going to do. Is that okay? So we quietly in secret. Secret is an 11 in deep gambling debt. All right, room number 7. That was this one here. That was a 1 was what was rolled. So that makes that an empty room as well. Now I may need to modify that because remember I want this path to be difficult. And then 8 is also an empty room. 9 up here. 6. It's another NPC. I forgot how many sixes came up. All right, so what kind of NPC is this? 4. It's another wounded one. There are lots of wounded NPCs here. All right, well, let's find out about this one. In terms of ancestry, this particular NPC is also human. If they're muscular, I mean that alignment chaotic. Okay. So this guy I think is going to be a little bit crazy. An adolescent though. Okay. See, I'm thinking this one is probably more of an acolyte. Wealth 4. Okay. Forgot to roll wealth on the other human, but that doesn't matter that much, I guess. Appearance is floppy hat. Does 12, a rare accent. Secret. Functional gills. All right. And then room number 10. Right, so this one, it's another 6. Seriously, 6 out of my 11 rooms have NPCs in them. Okay, well, I mean, we'll roll for it, I guess. Then I'm gonna want to go through. We're gonna modify some of this because that's a bit much. Oh, this time it's an elf, but what state is the elf in? Okay, it's a 6. So these are. Oh no, these are rival crawlers again. So 10 rival crawlers. Um, so I think I'm going to take my solo characters and I will divide them. I'll put one of them in one of these rooms, the other one in the other room. It's the idea so that they split up early on. Um, is the idea. So this might be something where they can actually like pick these people up, possibly. Okay, so there are some things that I still need to um, fix about this. So one thing is that we need this short path to be relatively safe. I think that's the case, right? So you come in here, room number 6. You have a wounded NPC. It's a lawful human, right? So I think that that one. I naturally need to come up with a name and a story. Now, why are all these people here? I think maybe the best way to describe this is that there is probably a village nearby, right? So I need to also create a village. But I think that all these characters are from this nearby village and have heard about, right, the pit of the righteous sorcerer. Right? Um, like some of them might be coming to like to save other people. Actually, I could actually see that. Actually, no, this makes sense. This makes sense now. Because when we look at all of the people who are here, right? So who's here? We have a dwarf that is captive. We have a halfling that is we have an adolescent halfling that is wounded, also lawful. We have a lawful human, middle-aged, is wounded, right? And then we also have this chaotic human that is wounded, who's adolescent. So here's what I think is the story. And we also have a couple rival crawlers, but now the rival crawlers, I think that those are people who are also were told about this mission and are therefore there for that purpose. I think that that is what they're doing there. Okay. Now, when you look at the geography of it, the rival crawler that's in here has to have passed the captive dwarf. Oh, I did something wrong. I just realized I did something wrong. Room number 4, there's a 10 there. 10, that should be a boss monster, right? So that should not be empty. I made a mistake on that one. For 7 and 8, yeah, those two are both ones. Okay, so just gonna mark here boss monster. What type of boss monster is it? It's a supreme sorcerer, it says. So boss monster. All right, so when I'm looking at this, there are lots of people here, right, in the pit of the righteous sorcerer. So these people definitely came from a village nearby and are here, really, I think, to pillage the thing. Except there's some exceptions. Okay, so let's go one by one through them. So here's my thought first for the story. I think that yes, this demon moved in here and it is patrolling the area, and I think it goes right in a rough circle like this. It doesn't go down this secret passage. I'm going to say this secret. No, no, they'd actually know about that one because I want to make sure that's no. Um, yeah, yeah. So I think that what they're going to. So we have going around this way. Maybe the other way. I don't know. Right. We're going to have the monster staking its way around in a circle. So every turn, it's moving to the next place. Okay. And I'm just going to do that by, because I play round robin with this. So when we sit down, everybody rolls their initiative. Whoever gets highest initiative goes first. And that's not just for combat, that's all the time. And then we just play proceeds around to the left like we're playing a board game. Right. I like that organization so much. So the story of what happened was that the chaotic human adolescent learned about this demon because we already knew about it. Right? People are aware right of this in this nearby village, but it's more people are aware of it and say, so don't go there. Right. This demon, it may occasionally cause problems, but we are not going to deal with this problem because we are just people. We're not dealing with it. Okay. Right. So we have somewhere nearby, there's a village. One of these dumb kids, right, got the idea that, gee, maybe if I go and I can serve this demon, it is going to make me look better in the eyes of the chaotic gods. And this dumb chaotic human got themselves injured in the process. Okay. Having functional kills, this could actually be part of, right? maybe they're involved with some like dark rituals, that kind of thing, right? So I could see that as being something that's going on here. That also would explain how it is they got past the drowning hazard relatively easily. Okay. Next then, so that'd be one. So then the problem is people didn't know that this particular person was serving the dark gods, the chaotic gods, and that is why a rescue party went after them. Right. So I think it first started with this lawful adolescent halfling who was, or at least thought he was, a friend, right, of the other one, the chaotic one. Thought he was going to go and help his friend. After all, he's muscular, right? He can do this, even if he's short, right? But managed to get himself hurt. Then we had the lawful human and the dwarf, right? The two of them went together in order to pull off this rescue. They went through the entrance, they got through that part, but then they decided, well, let's save ourselves some time. You go this way, I'll go that way. But in that process, they ended up separated. Right. So that's why they're all there now, and I think that explains literally all of the NPCs that are here. Now we need to explain the rival crawlers and that boss monster, Supreme Sorcerer. Okay, so the rival crawlers that were there, they're here for the Adventurers Guild, just the same reason that ours are there. They are here to recover that scroll and to bring it back. That is their goal. Okay, so it's that simple. Now, I'm going to have to be a little bit careful because it's possible that they might have encountered the demon at some point in the rounds, right? So I think it might behoove me to say, hey, just so you know, these people have already gone, and maybe like given them that they hid or something like that, so the demon didn't notice them, they didn't engage or something like that. That might be an argument we can make. Also, I'm going to say that whichever one it is that is here in room number 10 that had to have passed, right, this captive dwarf, the only two ways I can think of to solve that is one is that the dwarf got there after the crawler, but that doesn't make sense because this dwarf is captive. Uh, but I think it makes more sense that he says, you know what? I have something I need to get first. I'll get you on the way out since you're so close to the exit. So I think that's what happened here. The other rival crawler we know is where three is here. Okay, so he didn't have to pass anybody. Right, so that's good. So that is one fix that I had to make right first. Yeah. Other things I need to do in order to complete this and get all the keys right and everything. So one we need to do is that there is a lock and key. I forgot the sorcerer. The sorcerer is just there looking for Dentos's stuff. He wants to take as much of it for himself as he can. That is the goal, right? In that one. Okay. All right. So that's it. So I think that this might actually be something like a library and might have some lower level treasure in it. So I think that makes sense. So I'm just going to make this a library here. This is the actual tomb itself. Right? But now we know that in these rooms, right, there's a lock and key, right? So I think it makes sense. This rival crawler has found that there's a lock. So whatever this is, right, this is locked here. So I'm going to draw a little lock there. So this path is locked. And then we need the key. Key has to be in room number 9. Okay. So what kind of lock and key is it? That is an interesting question, right? Well, it turns out lock and key is something that Cyclic Dungeon Generation actually gives us a list of different types of locks and keys. Now, some of them are hard, some are soft. Hard indicates that it's something that um, you really need. It says prevents the engineers from progressing unless they have the key item, no exceptions. So things like a magical barrier where you have to have an enchanted stone, a gate that's raised by pulling a lever somewhere, that kind of thing. Whereas a soft lock could be bypassed without it, but at some risk or cost. Right, so it says example hard locks that mean soft locks here include a gauntlet or lethal poison or something like that. So I'm just going to roll on this d6 table. A 1 indicate that it's a literal door lock and key. So it's actually a locked door, and the actual key is in this room. Okay, so this literal lock and key. I'm going to make a note of that. Lock and key, this is literal. Right. Now what I need to do, I need to up the difficulty of this path. Right, so room number 5. Okay. So this is that wounded halfling. This room is empty. This is not actually an empty room. It can't be an empty room. It has to have something difficult in it that makes this a less desirable path than going this way. So, which is why you want to find the secret path if possible. So this one, I'm not doing that anymore. Instead, I think this needs to be some other kind of monster or monster group. I think that that's where I want to pull out. Yeah, so I'm going to say this is monster group. And it needs to be something that's probably native to this environment. I'm thinking in terms of light, I think this is all dark, with the exception of dark, except numbers 4, 10, and was it 5? No, where's the other one? The other rival crawl? Oh, 3. Those have torches, but everything else is dark. Right? Because those who have been wounded or captured, their light has run out at this point, right? So the sorcerer has light, as well as the rival crawlers having light. So things that I want to do, I'm thinking about my steps here, right? So we're doing soul cyclic dungeon generation. We have the site look there, the encounters. Okay. So first, planned encounters. There needs to be a planned encounter here in number 4 with the sorcerer. So I need to come up with what that sorcerer looks like in terms of monsters. I'm just going to look up a sorcerer. Sorcerer is not listed here, but I know there's something like a sorcerer. I think it's mage is the term that they use. Yes, mage is a level 6 character. All right. But mages tend to be lawful, it says. I'm going to go ahead and make this a mage. It's a supreme sorcerer. Well, okay. And it is supposed to be a boss monster. So I'm just going to make this mage. That's on page 231. Okay. And it might be that he's not that interested in attacking them unless they're going to make a big deal of it. I think that makes some degree of sense to me. All right. And then with this being a literal lock, that means I'm sorry, with this being a literal lock in room number 10, that does suggest then that if I have a thief with their thief tools, they could actually just pop the lock. I think that that's a possibility. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I would note also these side. Oh, wait. Side room number 6. There's a wounded NPC here. And side room number 5. There's a wounded NPC. Okay, so that means that sometimes the demon comes this way, sometimes it comes that way. I think it alternates which way it goes around that particular path. So I think that makes sense. Maybe it randomizes. So I can use that. Okay, cool. What else do I need to do with this? I'm feeling pretty good right about this. Oh, encounters. Yeah, so I know the mage is going to be here. I'm just going to use the standard mage out of the monster section in or whatever she calls it. I think it's just the monster section. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to use the mage out of the monster section. Okay. Okay. Which means then there's probably going to be a wizard's tower somewhere. So I'm just going to make some final notes down here. There must be a settlement nearby. That is mixed races, right? It's not just a human settlement because we have actually all like 4 of the 6 races are here. Okay. There's a settlement nearby. There also needs to be a wizard's tower nearby. And I'll come up with names for all these people and that kind of thing. You don't need to watch me come up with names. Um, oh yes, the one thing that I need to do, I want to make sure that number 7, that monster group, I want to make it an appropriate monster group, right? So what I'm looking for here is I want a level 0 or level 1 monster, right? And this is where Shadowdark Tools is going to come out and be useful for me. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open up this here. So monster level, right, from 0 to 1. Okay. Environment, right? So this environment, I think it's best described here as a tomb. Actually, it would be in a tomb. All right. And then we come here and just click filtered monsters and right there. So these are the kinds of things we might possibly find in a tomb that might make sense. So we could have acolytes, apprentices, bandits, goblins. See, I'm looking through, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for me for these ones. All right, kobold, orc, peasant, I don't think so. I think we're actually looking probably at giant rats. Giant rats or spiders, these types of things, regular rats. I think it makes the most sense to me to say that these are giant rats. It's a group of like four giant rats or something like that. So as a monster group, I'm just gonna say it's four, roughly four giant rats, and then I'll pull the giant rat stats from the book. And what I like to do is have a printout that's just like all of the monster stats that I need for that particular dungeon. All right, so that's what I have here in terms of planned encounters. If you go the one path, you have the giant rats. The other path, there's the sorcerer, which who may or may not end up being hostile to you. Oh yeah, let's just have that be a reaction roll. That makes sense, right? So just say reaction roll on that one. So he could be hostile or he could be friendly. The giant rats probably are not going to be friendly, but they might ignore you. So again, reaction roll for them as well. Just making some notes on that. Okay. And then similarly, I think that the NPCs in here are also going to have reaction rolls for that matter, in that, they're not necessarily going to be happy to see you here. They're, I mean, even if you're injured, right, you're not necessarily going to trust, right, who's walking in on you. And then we have the demon wandering around. So then the next thing I need is, um, I want to know wandering monsters. I want to come up with an encounter table for random encounters. So random encounters. Okay, so the way that I like to do this is I'm just going to have six. So these would be the possible wandering monsters. So to me, it makes sense. We know that there are giant rats there. Other possibilities would be rats or regular spiders. So I'm just going to say here. So one option is be giant rats. Another option would be spiders. Another option would be just regular rats. Right. And then I think I'm just going to have this is just going to be a D8 of them in each of these cases. Well, maybe only a D6 for the giant rats. There we go. And then we have these three other things here. I think these all, I like the idea of attacking the light, right? So there's actually an attack the light table in here, if I can remember where it is. Let there be darkness. I think it's on that page in 110. Yes, light mishaps. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take all of those and I'm going to boil it down to number 6, which is spark. If the light source is an open flame, it sparks, catches on 1d4 flammable objects within close. Uh, DC, okay, I'd rather have it darken. Oh, I like dire. I like fire. Okay, fire, page 110. So what fire does, the light source, even a magical one, flares and burns your hand. Take 1 damage. DC 18 dex or drop it. Okay, that's good. Now the next thing I want to do, okay, so I've got here, what have we done? We have our villain, right? That is the demon's going to be wandering around in a loop, and I will specify exactly kind of where it is, how it moves. Fantastic locations. We have our dungeon designed. Outline potential scenes. We have encounters in the dungeon. The wilderness would be the next thing. And for that, I need to know where we are on my map. So here I have my big northern reaches of Radislav binder that I use. And inside here somewhere, I have the map of the area. Oh, they're my rival crawlers. Yeah, they're in here somewhere. Okay. Where'd I put the map? See, this is something recently I watched a video from Mage in the Basement, and it was one of the very early ones. I think it's just episode 2 was playing Shadowdark. Ha ha ha. There it is. There we go. So I want this to be somewhere nearby. Right, so I have a few copies of this map. So they enter here. Now I want to look somewhere that I don't have something already defined, but in the nearby area, where it would also make sense. I'm thinking these hills look good. Right, so that would be like LL20. I don't think I have anything planned for LL20 yet. Um, okay, there's NN20, MM8, MM19, GG35. Okay, and I think that that's that. Yeah. So I think LL20 is a good location for this. So then I know where it is. Now, LL20, when I look at that on my map, in terms of the type of location, it's hills, right? So I'm going to roll. So I want things that live in the hills, potentially, for random encounters. So where's my Shadowdark tools? There we are. Right, so I'm going to use this again. Again, monster levels 1 through 1. Now, we don't have hills as a terrain type for so I'm just going to do both mountain and grassland. And I accidentally hit the privacy policy at the bottom of the page. Mountain and grassland. Okay, filter monsters that way. So what do we got? Let's see. And then I'll just write somewhere here wilderness encounters. Um, I'm just going to put down here bandits, beastmen. Yeah, we could encounter some goblins possibly. Orcs, sure. Um, rats and spiders again. I mean, it seems more likely to me that you're going to encounter peasants. Maybe I'll just make it 5 to 6, 5 and 6 peasant. There we go. So there we go. Those are the different wilderness encounters that you might possibly have outside of the Pit of the Righteous Sorcerer. So I think this is looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything else. Okay. So yeah, I need to do the homework assignment here. Right, so develop a scroll, describe it with at least three, with not at least, with exactly 3 sentences, involving at least 2 senses. Right, so here's what I'm thinking. So the scroll is here. So we know this is a scroll of mirror, of magic mirror, whatever it is, mirror image, mirror something. Mirror image. Okay. The scroll of mirror image. What do I want to say about it? Well, it needs to be somewhat unique, right? So I like the idea as I'm thinking about it of it. It is actually um, it's actually inscribed in a mirror itself. So it's inscribed in a mirror. So I like that. That's a sentence. And then I need to describe another sense. I'm gonna say like in terms of temperature, it's always cold, right? Yeah, so it's like unnaturally, right, cold to the touch. And then the third description about it, um, does it have a personality? I kind of like the idea of having a personality. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a personality. Okay. Personality, this is something that you can roll for in, there we go, item personality. There we are. Okay, so I want to know, let's see. I might also put some other treasure in there and the like. Okay, here we go. Personality, it's a 2d6 roll. If I roll that it doesn't have personality, then I'm gonna re-roll. That's rolling that it didn't have a personality. But eight is closer to 10 than it is to 3, so I'm gonna count that as if it's a 10. All right, so it gets a virtue and a flaw, and then I also want to give it like a personality trait itself. Right, so item personality. So first, virtue, 13. It's a calming presence to some kind of animal. Calming presence to birds. And then flaw, 11, constantly tries to escape. Personality trait, 4 and 1, impulsive. All right. All right. So I think that that is pretty good. Right. So I have here a few sentences describing this. Um, I think this will be good. I'm looking forward to this now. Right. So I guess I should say to my, so I have several cousins on my dad's side. One of whom is the one from California who's going to be visiting. Another of whom is one of, I mean, probably about a third of my viewing audience, I suspect. So don't tell Tanya. Just put it at that. I don't know if you've talked to her recently. All right. So anyway, that was fun. That's fun. It's definitely a long video, but that's some of the process that you can go through, some of the tools that I used. But hey, but think about it. We designed the whole thing. I'm gonna have to clean it up a little bit, give people names, that kind of thing. Uh, but under a half hour, under an hour and a half, got this all done from scratch, and that was with quite a bit of umming and hemming and hawing and the like. Right. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it is in some way useful to you. Feel free to take this dungeon and use it, and certainly look at some of these tools. They're pretty cool. And thank you for your attention. For now, this is Prof E signing off.